All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I certainly hope and pray that all is well. It is so beautiful outside. It's snowing. Okay. Coming down in big flakes, big chunks. It's really pretty. It's always like when the snow falls like that and you see it on the trees and everything. It's just really, really pretty. I still don't like the bitter cold, but it's really beautiful. Like some people, you know how they talk about people having, I'm trying to set this up in a way that, okay, what is it, seasonal affective disorder, where they get down, and I mean, here in this city, I can see how easy that can be for a person because it's so gray here. It's just like, and especially in the wintertime, it's just so gray, so it's just not the cold, it's the gray. But I never had that until maybe, I remember maybe when my daughter was a baby or something. I started to kind of feel that in the wintertime. And I always felt like, I don't want to live in the cold, but the cities that I like are cold. Well, I mean, not that I've been everywhere, but I remember when I went to Israel, I went in the wintertime. And it's so funny to me how people who lived there were talking about how cold it was. And I was like, oh, it feels great. Because it was like in the 60s. And it was just felt like spring. It felt so beautiful to me. But for them, because I went in the summertime too. And the summer, like the heat was just uh, it was a lot. Okay, it was insane. I'm like, oh my God. It's like when I went to Egypt. But when I went to Egypt, at times it wasn't that bad because the desert, so it kind of had a breeze. There was a breeze sometimes, and it felt good. But when there wasn't, it wasn't. We were on the bus. My daughter, it was a big charter bus. My daughter was the youngest person. I think she was 16. And some days she was just like, that heat would just knock her out, and she would be on the bus. She'd be sleeping so hard. I was like, is she okay? Because she just like she couldn't stand that heat. But anyway, so like sometimes, in the winter, I look at it like I told myself, just look at it as another season. You know what I'm saying? Just another season. Just enjoy the season. Just wrap up, and enjoy every aspect that nature gives us. But anyway, I want to say thank you if you have subscribed to my new channel. I really appreciate it. I got, I think, 285 subs so far, which is a really great start because I um, premiered it on New Year's Day, so I wasn't expecting that. And my Aries reading, I had two Aries readings. One got over 5,000 views. The other one, I think, 100 something views. So I say, okay, Aries in the house. So if you subscribe, I appreciate it. Thank you. I always post in the community tab on this channel when I put those videos up over there. So I appreciate it. Even, the lurkers, stalkers, people who just can't get enough, the people who are obsessed and determined they're going to take me down and all of that kind of thing. Thank you for your subscriptions. Thank you for the comments and everything. And we'll continue over there. Um, and, moving on. It's so many things to talk about. I think it's been about like 6 days or something since I've been on here. Have had quite a few other dream infiltration attacks and everything. So we'll talk about that because I had debated at one point, like, do I even need to talk about that anymore? And I kept getting, yeah, you do. Okay, because there, still people out there who are going through these things, and I think it would be helpful. And I was given I'm gonna read it. Hopefully, I didn't. Uh, what was it? First Corinthians. I don't know if it was. Maybe it was. Ooh, I can't remember the chapter. I remember the verse. Let me see if this is it. No, that's not the right chapter. Okay, I know the chapter. Okay, here it is. Okay, here it is. 1 Corinthians 3, 5 through 6. Okay. This is one of the Pauline letters, okay, to the or epistles to the church at Corinth. Okay. What, after all, is Apollos and what is Paul? Only servants through whom you came to believe, as the Lord has assigned to each his task. Okay. I planted the seed, Apollos watered it, but God has been making it grow. So when I saw that, it's like, yeah, because this is a task that, I feel like it came to me. This is a task you've been assigned to do. Okay. That, I feel God has assigned me to do. Okay. So it's like, you've talked about these things, you planted these seeds. Okay. God will make it grow. And I'm saying that to say that me questioning, do I even need to talk about this stuff anymore? They're going to continue on. It's like, yeah, because, it is a help to others. Okay. Some people just, like I said, just look at it as drama, or they think it's funny, or whatever the case may be. But there are others who may be going through these same things. Okay. And it's a help. It's, like I said, it's a task that I've been assigned to. I was, make sure that how do I start this? Listen to things people say, you know what I'm saying? But also listen to what they say. Okay, they say, but listen to what they don't say as well. I don't know if that applies to what I'm about to say, but I heard someone talking to someone, and they kept telling this person, let your guard down, let your guard down, let your guard down. Okay, but in the same breath, they insulted them. Okay, no, you don't let your guard down. That's what I'm saying. Listen to the things people say. Why do they want you to let your guard down? For what? Okay. Um, Let me see if I can find this. Why? Okay. How they say, consider the source. Okay, so consider the source of, you know whoever is saying that to you. Okay, but also it reminded me of the scripture. My dad told me this years ago. Proverbs 4:23. Above all else, guard your heart. Okay. Now it goes on to say, for everything you do flows from it. Okay. But I'm just gonna, yeah. Okay. But I'm just gonna focus on that part. Above all else, guard your heart. Okay. Guard your heart. So be careful of, I don't want to, yeah, just be careful. I've heard that said to me over the years. Okay, not anything new. Over the years, when I say over the years, just in my life, period. I remember when I was in graduate school, this guy pulled me to the side. Can I talk to you? Sure. So we were talking after class, and he went on to tell me how intimidating I was, and blah blah blah. It's like, you don't this, or you don't that, or you do this, or you do that. I don't even remember the specifics, because it really didn't. It was like he was trying to find something to fit that. I don't know if other people were intimidated by me. I've been told that before, but it definitely that he was. But that's not like, at the time I was young, I was in my 20s, young, and I used to hear that kind of shit from all people all the time. You don't smile enough. You know, you don't smile. I remember when I was a little girl, you know, and I had to go to school. They started sending me to school because I had to go to school, and here come picture day. And I remember my first few years, I didn't smile in my pictures. Or when people would take pictures, I didn't smile. And I remember my dad constantly, smile, smile. She don't smile. Why you don't smile and take a picture? Fussing at me. And I remember thinking to myself, smile for what? It wasn't about being mean. It wasn't, I was little. It was just my natural ways. And I remember him fussing about it. But I remember thinking, smile for what? What do you want me to smile for? You know what I'm saying? Oh, I didn't know that the rule was that when someone takes a picture, you have to smile. I'm like 3, I'm 4 years old. You know, if you want me to smile, you can say, you need to smile for the picture, make sure you smile for the picture, but it was like being said as though I was doing something just so heinous and terrible and wrong. And I didn't see the point in smiling for a picture. I didn't see the point. I was, you know, okay. But I do remember asking myself, why do I need to smile? You know, okay. And then I remember, I'll go back to school. You better smile for that picture. I remember being told that. Now, my dad wasn't there at that time. So I don't remember the lady who raised me saying it, so, but it was said. Okay, she probably was one who said it. I just remember that being a barrage of being fussed at about you don't smile for pictures or you don't smile. Um, so I remember one picture I took. I remember sitting there, the photographer sitting on, how they have you sitting on well, back in the day. And my daughter, when she went to take pictures, they would have them standing. So I said, I don't know, I guess it's different now, but like I'm 70s, kid. So they put us on that little box, sit on the corner, pose this way, put your head this way, lift it up, turn around. You know what I'm saying? All that, okay? And I remember thinking to myself, smile. But I hated it. I hated it because I thought, what is the point? What do you want me to smile for? You know, not that I was mean and hateful. I just didn't understand, this earthly rule that I needed to smile for a picture. I remember seeing pictures from long, long ago. Okay, and people weren't smiling, and it was. I remember the caption was, "This was." I can't remember about social media. Wherever I saw this at, they were saying that this was a time period when, people didn't. There wasn't this social ideology that people needed to smile pictures. You're just simply taking uh, a capturing a person's they're visually capturing who they are, by photograph. So they didn't have this societal rule. And I noticed that if you look back at those pictures, like those old black and whites from long ago, people weren't smiling, you know. But anyway, and I remember when I went to smile, I was so uncomfortable, and you could see it in my face. Like I forced myself to smile. Okay, and I was remember when the pictures came thinking, so I was so afraid of what the reaction was going to be, toward me, because I remembered that I didn't want to smile, but I was told to smile lest I was going to get a whooping or get fussed at. And all of this undue unnecessary hounding of Nikki, which I dealt with all my life. Okay, so anyway, back to what I was saying about guarding your heart. So this whole thing of people being intimidated by you, they will say certain things to you like that. You don't smile enough. Okay, I used to get that a lot. I'm just like, I listen, I'm just minding my own business, walking down the street. You understand what I'm saying? Going to class, going to the store, I'm shopping, whatever the case may be. I'm just not here to entertain you. Okay. And those early years when I was real young, I would just, okay, let me go ahead and smile at this person. But then, I started to get bold and like, I don't leave me alone. I don't even know who you are. Usually, men would do that. I don't even know who you are. I don't have to entertain you. I don't have to smile at you. Now, recently, someone did that. A couple months back, I was in this grocery store. I was walking out, and the man said, "Smile," and I just went on and did a silly smile at him. Okay, like whatever. I don't even care anymore. But usually when people tell you those things, they're trying to get into your energy in some kind of way, or they're intimidated by you. Okay, and you don't have to let down anything, because you do need to guard yourself. And it's not Nikki's idea; it is my idea. But also, I'm reading it out of out of this book here, this ancient book that we, people call the Bible. I've been calling it the manual. Above all else, guard your heart, guard yourself, guard your life. Out of it flows the issues of life. Guard yourself. Okay, that's a way for people to get in, to try to get in your energy. And for what? What do I need to let down my guard for? What do you mean by that? Okay, what are you, what do you want? That you want me to let down my guard? Absolutely not. And then in the same, but continue to listen to them, because as I was listening to this person, they insulted the person in the same breath. But one of those things that could be taken, not as an insult, but it was definitely was an insult. That this person here is insulting you, telling you to let your guard down as though it's safe. I'm a safe person. You can be free around me and let down your guard and let me get all up in your space and your energy to know who and what you are. Okay. But then here follows an insult, because how a person feels about you is how they feel. They can't hide it. Though they think that they do. They can't hide it. It can't be hidden. And people try their damnedest to hide it, but they never do. They never do. They always say, they'll say like 99% of all these wonderful, flattering things. And here goes that 1% of how they really feel. Pay attention to that. But at the same token, you don't need to let down your guard for anyone. For what? Or you can let down your guard to whom you choose to let down your guard to, not because some random person who doesn't know you, they want to know you. Maybe they simply want to know you, but instead of taking the time like an intelligent human being to spend time with you, to talk to you, okay, to get to how you actually get to know a person, they're living in fear, and they're going to tell you how you need to behave so that they can figure out who you are, instead of them focusing on themselves and how they should behave to get to know a person, which is, you let down yours and just come talk to me. That's how that goes. Okay. So be careful of that. Okay. And always consider the source. Who is this person? What do you want me to let down my guard for? Okay. And then you just insulted me, but you don't think that I'm hearing your insult, or you don't even realize that you're insulting me. So you have an agenda that is not going to be work in my best interest. So no, I will not be letting my guard down to you nor anyone else. I'll let my guard down to whom I choose to let it down to. And don't walk around in shame or fear and all of that kind of thing. Okay. Be wise. Protect yourself. And you absolutely should protect yourself. Okay. Because this world is treacherous. Okay. People are treacherous. I don't care how they come across, how they try to act like they're holy and pure and saintly, and they don't pose any problems or no issues. It does not matter. I remember I was listening to Lynn Toller one time. This was years ago, and she's from here, from Cleveland, and she was over this case where I think the man had cheated on the woman or whatever, and Judge Toller was telling the woman, as a judge who has experience on the bench working with married couples, couples that are getting divorced, who's been in one herself, she was just letting her know, when you have been violated that way, in your marriage, in this bond and this vow that you all have made, if you want to allow this person back into your life, fine, but don't just be so open and so free as though nothing happened immediately. She said you need to be watchful. Okay. Like, give it some time. And even after you've given it time, give it some more time. Okay. So, people say all types of things. And I find it interesting how people who are, they make assumptions. It's just the weirdest thing to me. I always thought it was strange, even in my teenage years, how people make so many assumptions about people who they've never had a conversation with. They just look at you, look at a package, and determine within themselves, or they listen to people's lies or whatever, and they have determined within themselves that they know who you are. Okay. I will say one thing for that guy that I was talking about in graduate school. At least he did pull me to the side and take the time to talk to me. So that whatever assumptions that he was making, whatever weird thoughts that he had, you know, he, you know, him doing that was like being open. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me see who she actually is. Let me see what she's actually about. How? Let me have a conversation with her, which he had never really had before. Besides just looking at her come into class and maybe, answer a couple questions here and there. I don't know this girl. I don't know this woman. Okay. It's amazing to people how people do that. But what they do is they so boldly make these bold pronouncements about someone that they absolutely don't know. And they make it with such, what's the word that I'm looking for? I can't think of the word I'm looking for now. But they make these as though that they are absolutely 100% right about what they're saying about someone who you've never even talked to before. Or we'll use social media. Okay, we'll use YouTube because I'm on here. Or you watch these videos about a person, of a person. Okay. There's so much that they're not saying. There's so much that a person is not saying when they turn a camera on. Okay. It's so many, we're so complex. There's so many, people are not just one dimensional. I still had somebody still making these commentaries about me based off of a dream I had about the sun being blocked. That I'm like a white woman and that I don't want the sun this person thinks I don't know. You think that I don't know you're making reference to me and all I talked about was a dream that I had. That's silly. It's asinine. But it's not really my issue. I don't know what the whole thing about acting like a white woman, what that's supposed to be. Okay. I guess if I could get on here and talk like this, some massa, then or put on my hair on my hip and fuss and be the stereotypical black angry ass bitch. Stereotypical, I said, because I'm not saying that that's how black women are. It's white women that act like that. It's women of all races that act this quote unquote stereotype of what a black woman. I done seen them. I done talked to them. I done worked with them. It's kind of like, when kids said when we were little in the 70s. And I swear we're going back in time. In the 70s. And I'm sure they were saying it before then, when black kid would come around talking and they didn't say this, that, and the other, which I'm not putting down. I understand why the tongue goes to the duh in the black community as opposed to the th, as just like with the French, they say z as opposed to th. Okay. But anyway, and you act like you white. Why? Because the way you talk. No, that's not acting white. That's just talking. I'm not going to even say it's correct. It's this, that, and the other two, as if to say the way that black people talk is wrong. No, they had, what do they call it? Well, I don't know if you want to call it ebonics. I don't know if that's offensive or not. Whatever. These things were around before people decided to put terminologies to the word or whatever, a word rather to it. But I'm like, okay. And they've been determined ever since to talk about me and how I feel about the sun. And you've never had a conversation with me one way or the other. And all I did was talk about a dream that I had. And here I point a Bible verse out, but they are determined that I have this thing with the sun and I want to block out the sun and I act like a white woman, but you could be colored. Moving on. I ain't heard that. I had never heard that term in my walking life because that shit went out in the 50s and 60s, which can be very offensive unless I know that in South Africa, that terminology. Someone pointed that out to me and I looked it up and I said, oh, I see that term, But whatever, honey. Moving on. I just find it it's just ridiculous. How do you do that? But yet say that you're wise. There's no wisdom there. Okay, and I'm not talking bad about that person. I'm just saying I see what you're doing, and I understand it. But moving on, just blocked. I just don't watch no more. Because if that is what you have done to me, then you have done something on the same line to others. And why? I don't understand it. Okay, but whatever. So no, you keep your guard up and you protect yourself. And when you know that you're dealing with someone who you feel that you can let your guard down with after you have been observant and you see who this person is and how, if they're genuine with you or not, if they really truly care about who you, people that have tell you that they don't care about you. They want something of you or from you. They don't care about the genuine who you are and your humanity as a human being. They absolutely do not. They want something from you and of you. Because here they come, usually, then there's the insult behind it. Okay. Or in front of it. Whichever. The insult going to be there somewhere. Okay. So be mindful. Be mindful. Okay. Anyway, like I said, so much to talk about. So I'll share some of the dream manipulation that I don't know, was it full moon or something like that? I always tell you I don't really keep up, with the cycles of the moon. I don't. Okay. I just live my life, when it's gonna be full is when, and I'm not saying that everybody people should do like I do. No, you do like you do. Okay. But I guess that's when they do most of their dream work and manipulation and all of that kind of stuff. Okay. So one that I had, it was kind of funny. What was it? I think it was one day last week. So, well, I had one before that with someone here on this app, a reader. I'm not going to even say who it is. I'm absolutely going to say who it is, okay? Because I ain't getting into all that shit. Okay, no more on this motherfucking platform, okay? I ain't talking about the throwing of the shade, but I'm talking about, all of that weird, this one throwing magic at me, that one throwing magic, whatever. All the gameplay in here. But I just want to say that person, which I did say to her in the dream, you do not have to do this. Okay. You don't have to do this. Okay. It's such a waste of who you are as a person. Okay. And I can say because this person watches, obviously, or they wouldn't have come into my dream space. Okay. I'm not going to demean this person. I don't see no reason to. But I do watch your readings sometimes. I used to watch them all the time, but sometimes it was just got to be too much for me. It didn't really resonate for me at my age. Some of the topics. This was my life. But sometimes I watch, and I just think that you are you have a whole lot more going on for you than that to lessen who you are. I think that you have a beautiful gift. You speak well. I think that you have great, really good insight. People say, may say that you're still in the readings and all of that kind of stuff, and you just might be, because I think you did it to me. But at the same time, I'm listening to you, and I'm like, she speaks well. I mean, like, why lessen yourself to this? And like I said to her in a dream, after all was said and done in a dream, me and her and another person were walking together, and I looked at her and said, "Girl, you don't have to do this. Why are you doing this?" But see, I don't know what kind of these things people get involved in these groups and all this type of shit in the black magic. I don't know what the vows people make and the contracts they sign and all of that kind of thing that bind them to doing it. You know, even if they want to stop, maybe don't want to stop. I don't know. But I just think it's such a waste of time and talent and beauty. I think you're a beautiful woman, and it's just such a waste because it's not going to go anywhere. And I don't understand this whole thing of people talking about, maybe somebody can educate me. And maybe I have a spiritualist in mind. Maybe I haven't talked to her in years. Maybe I can ask her. Maybe I call her one day and ask her. Older woman, okay, who's been doing this before some of us here was even, well, not me probably, but some of the people here were even born. Okay, studies, spends quiet time, does her work. But I don't understand this thing of thinking that you can do something and not receive, and there be no consequences for it, that you can throw your consequences or karma off on somebody else for your dirty ass work. I'm like, huh? How's that a natural law? Where's my book, the Kabbalion, that talks about that? It's just impossible. Now, I remember when I was in school, when I was in elementary school, we had a topic. This was a topic. I don't know if it fell under sociology or what, but it was called If Then. If this, then this. And I remember, we did, they would give us little sheets of paper, give us scenarios, and if such and such, then, blank. Then we had to write in what would happen. Okay. That's like what goes around comes around. What you put out, you get back, so on and so forth. Okay. For every action, there's an equal and op. There's an equal. I mean, like, this is not separate from, everything is one. I know that the powers that be have presented things to us as though they're separate, but they're not. For every action, let me look it up. There is an equal and opposite reaction. That's not something I just designed in my head one day and said, yeah, let me say that. That sounds good. Let me look for it here. Yeah, that's what I thought. Newton's third law of motion. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Any force or action exerted by one object or another, the second object exerts an equal force in the opposite direction. What you put out, the opposite direction is going to come back. That's just like a natural law. Can we call it? Y'all want to get my Kabbalah and see if I got my comments closed. Okay. Because I did read. I didn't take my books out of my bag. Hold on. 4:4. Let me get my. I'm pretty sure it's in this book. I'm gonna look real quick. The Kabbalion. Okay, sister on here hit me to this book. Well, I had been hearing about it, and she started talking about it, and I asked her what it was. This was a few years back, and she told me what it was. Queen. Or we can call it, it says the principle of cause and effect. Okay. Let me see if I can. Causation. I believe that would be under there. The law of, no, that's compensation. Oh, I'm looking on the wrong page. Here it is. This is the Kabbalion. The Kabbalion speaks of the 7 Hermetic principles. Okay. Let me see if I can find this. And I didn't read all of this book on this channel, but I read some of it. Okay. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Everything. It's a law. It's a natural law. It's not a moral law. It ain't like a Christian law or any kind of religious law. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have anything to do with that. It's just like, gravity. What goes up, it is going to come down. It's not based on nobody's morality. It ain't based on what nobody think. It ain't based on no particular deity or no particular God, nobody's ancestor, spirit team. None of that shit. What goes up is going to come down. Okay. But anyway, let me get back to this. So everything, spirituality, everything works according to law. Everything happens according to these are not laws that can be broken. You cannot break the law of gravity. I'm using that for an example. You can't break it. You can't change it. Nobody or nothing can. People talk about nature. Now it's one girl on here, weather. She talks a lot about weather. She predicts, this storm, that tornado, all that kind of stuff. And I that's not really interest of mine, but it is of hers. I heard her say one day that she watches the Weather Channel. Okay, and I guess she'd be right. Okay, because she will show that this was she predicted, and boom, she was right. Okay. And they talk about how they've been trying to fuck with the weather and change the weather. It's winter time in Cleveland, Ohio. It's been like this for forever. And guess what? It's still snow out there and it's still cold than a motherfucker. Just like it was when they brought me here, and I've been experiencing this all my, it's the same shit. And sometimes people talk about how it snowed in Texas. My grandmother told me, I didn't believe. I was like, Grandma, you can't be telling me the truth. She told me, she said, Nikki, one time it snowed here in Cleveland in July. I said, Grandma, you ain't telling. She said, yes, it did. And she picked up one of the ladies from the church who was on her way to church, and she asked her, she said, tell her about that time it snowed here in July. And she looked back at me, she said, it sure did. Woke up. I said, well, how much snow was it? I said, probably just a little dust. She said it was enough for people to make snowmen, when people used to make snowmen. Okay. But by the after, everybody went out there and they coached the kids and stuff, this is a long time ago, and they made the snowman have fun. But she said by the afternoon, it was all melted. And everything went back to normal. Okay. So these kind of phenomena are not new. It's still cold. It's still snowing. The snow gonna melt and it's gonna snow again. I remember, it snowed. We didn't have these little snowstorms in there. The snow collect, it melt, and a couple days later it snows again. They may be trying to affect and fuck with it, but it's nature still doing what the fuck it do. We still got the storms, the tornadoes, the sun come and burn shit out of all of that shit. They have not been able to completely do away with it or anything. Okay. Every cause has its effect. Every effect. I didn't say it has. They have not been able to affect it. They have not been able to do away with it. It's not 80 degrees outside. It is doing what it does in this region every year. And it's been doing it for God knows how long. Okay. Chance is but a name for law, not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. Even these spiritual things or whatever, it all has to go. When people talk about people breaking spiritual laws or trying to break spiritual laws, trying to interfere with what the universe sets in motion, or what you can say God sets in motion, you cannot break it. You cannot change it. Maybe you can do things to delay it, okay, but you can't change it. It is what it is. You're not breaking the law. You're not breaking any natural laws. You're not gonna break none of them. Okay. What is this? Let me see. All right. It doesn't have what I'm looking for there. So this whole thing about they won't put their karma on you. so they can escape karma. You're not going to escape no fucking karma. You're not going to escape with that getting back what you put out there. It's just you're just not going to. You put out good, you're going to get it back. You put out negative, you're going to get it. You're not going to escape it. And I'm not saying don't protect yourself and all of these types of things. You absolutely should, however you choose to. You absolutely prayer or your incense burning or your meditation, whatever you do. Okay. So I'm saying that to say to this young lady, you have so much more potential and so much. I see you as a beautiful woman than to do some shit like that for some quick, short satisfaction. Because everything that you're putting out there, I don't know what for you coming over here bothering me for, attacking me in my dreams. Okay, it was all said and done. I ain't gonna bother you no more. Thank you. But again, why are you bothered? Why are you wasting your time? Why are you choosing to live like this? Okay, when you have potential to really do something great, because I see greatness in you, but this is what you choose, and you are going to. Well, let me read it again. And I'm not saying this to this person to be mean or to make her feel bad or anything like that. You are going to receive back in your life what you have put out there. Absolutely. It don't matter how we get on these cameras and look and smile or whatever. And I'm not saying, yeah, you should, and I'm not coming at you with that type of spirit or that attitude. No, I'm saying to you, you are going to. And here you are with all this great potential to do something great and to be great. You speak well. You got to get the gab. You're very, very attractive woman, which will attract to you. And you know how to speak. And I don't know you personally. I'm just talking about the little bit that I see. But I don't know all the ins and outs of who you are. But it's like, why would you waste your time doing this shit? It's a waste of time. I'm even here like it's a waste of glory. The glory that God has bestowed upon you in your life and your beauty and all that type of shit. To do that. Okay. But I'm not going to even go into what that dream was. Now I'm talking about the people here that have been bothering me that I've known all my life. Oh, I forgot. For those who need it, you're doing great, sweetie. Clap, 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 clap. Okay. So the one night, this ain't nobody on here. I'm talking about people here. Okay. They brought a white guy in it this time. I guess he was a practitioner. Three of them. Y'all didn't show y'all's faces, but I knew who it was. What is the thing with the church? They keep, a lot of times there's a consistent thing with y'all church. All I can think of is that woman who raised me. Okay, church. I went to church, but it was like a Catholic church. Not like what I grew up in. I'm sitting there. It's some white guy behind me, but he was just maybe like a priest or something. Or he was presenting himself. His energy was that of someone that I could trust. Okay, that was the feeling. I went to seminary. And the idea, the track for me was to, past people who become priests, Catholic priests and pastors go to seminary. Not in that Church of God in Christ that I grew up in and some of these other denominations like that. Okay, even though they had a seminary, but they don't believe in that. Okay, they don't believe in going to get knowledge. Okay, but anyway, I look some days, I'm like, I don't even know what the hell. I'm just so thankful to be free. You understand what I'm saying? Because I even thought I was like, that was not for you in no way. Now, I'm not saying I didn't feel a calling, okay? Probably to spiritual work, okay? But not that. I just can't stand those organized anything because, and I'm not putting it down. I'm not saying they should not exist. I don't like it. It ain't for me because of the whole hierarchical structure and basically end up having to kiss people's ass. Okay, and then keeping you in boxes and chains and all of that kind of stuff if they don't like you and they don't want you to succeed and do well and whatever, honey. And then using Bible verses and all kind of things to try to guilt you into being what they want you to be. Okay, try to put you down. Excuse me. So anyway, I don't remember everything. All I know, oh, I think I did see Lady Raise Me in that one. I can't remember. But all I remember is because, like I said, it was last week. I was like, okay, let me get, it's time for me to. Everybody was leaving. I was like, let me get up out of here. The white guy behind me, like I said, he came off like a priest or something, like maybe a mentor or something like that. And I was trying to get a ride to go. Everybody was getting a ride to go. And there was this one woman in, and see, when y'all do this, I'm talking about people here. When y'all do this, you always have somebody in there in the dream who's creeping around. They be creeping around to see how you gonna respond. Okay, so it's this one woman creeping around, black woman, and I was like, trying to get a ride. I was thinking, well, can I get a ride with you? Where you going? Because I was in a car, but for some reason I got out the car. Okay, so I'm trying to see if I can get a ride with her. She had on, I don't know, some old silly kind of outfit that I don't know, half dressed or whatnot. And here she was like, well, I'm leaving, going to such and such. And she's so busy looking at the white guy behind me, eyes all big, creeping. I didn't recognize her face. I said, well, this is probably one of the ladies from the sister's coven, okay, or her temple or whatever. And so I looked back at the white guy and he's laying down. It was just weird. And he says to me, then he got turned from looking all holy and benevolent to looking evil. And what did he put out? As there's never a place I can't find you. And I just looked at him. I was like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to go home. I don't want to hear that shit. And then he gave me something and I took it. And as soon as I took it, I felt something, a hand, like on my behind now. And that, I was like, whoa, and that woke me up. Okay. And I said, the fuck? And I said that you took that thing he gave you, that he was, and because it was wrapped like in a napkin or something. I said, you took it. Okay, you know how people say don't take shit from these people in your dreams and whatnot. And you remember the hand on the Addams family? That's what that hand was like. Okay, so I said that shit is real. That's what I thought to myself. So I did something with that hand. Okay. I sent it right on back to them folk. Okay, maybe you're feeling okay what you all was trying to do to me, and I was just like, this is so stupid. And I looked at the white guy trying to look all evil and trying to scare me with the whole "there's never a place I can't find you," and it's like, dude, whatever. Okay, I'm trying to get the fuck up out of here and go home. Okay, so that was one of them. Okay, and then another one I had. Now this one was interesting. It was I was in a room or I was someplace and I was with some friends and well, people that I knew from school, from college and graduate school. And the theme in the dream was I was in a doctoral program that I dropped out of. But I've never been in a doctoral program. Now, I did start it was called an EMBA, Executive Masters of a Business Administration program, okay, at Cleveland State. I did that for one semester and I didn't finish. And, I was really questioning when I went back the second semester if I should. Okay, it was very racist. I wasn't the only person of color, but I was the only black person in that program. Very, very, they were very racist, very ageist, all of that. And it was just like, oh my God. I was, this is when I was going to that gym that I be telling y'all about, and I was losing weight. And every time I went in there, the white women would just stare me up and down like, why are you doing this? That's how they would ask me. Like, why am I doing what? You're losing weight. Why are you doing this? It's like, the fuck are you? Get out of my face. Just weird shit, you know? Um, because I want to, you know. But anyway, it was just really weird. It was at first I thought it was just a racist thing, you know. But then there was an older white guy, and they was giving him the blues, you know, because of his age. And I was like, and it's kind of this environment that you're going to work in, because I had never done work in that field before, but I had to interview to get into the program. And the lady I interviewed with, she was the head of the department. It was a hot mess. Okay. And I think she just liked me and, you know, wanted to have a black person in the program, you know, the token and shit. This lady, I don't know what she had done, but she had done something with a student or something, and they put her out, okay, in the middle of my first semester. It was just really, it was just, it was just messy from beginning to end, okay. But anyway, um, so I'd never been in a doctoral program. Okay, I loved the school growing up because school was social hour for me. Okay, I loved going to school. Um, by the time I got done with graduate school, I really felt like I'm done with this shit. You know what I'm saying? Look at it coming down. Oh my gosh, it's snowing. Now these not the big flakes. These is little tiny flakes. See the big flakes, it was just sparingly, but now these got the little tiny flakes and it's just coming down. And I'm gonna go out in it. Okay. But anyway, so in the dream, so okay, I you know, the theme was because I used to have these dreams. Like probably some of the black magic the one who raised me was doing on me. Okay, but I used to have dreams often about school, about like my college years, and I would wake up like, what was that about? Like I would be missing classes. I don't know. It was just really disturbing. Okay, this is before I found out, you know, all the tricky dicky shit they was doing to me. Okay, and but knew someone right. But anyway, and I don't do dream interpretation. Okay. But I have talked to some, I mean, those of y'all who do that, y'all do that. Just, I just love it. Like, you see all that? They be picking out stuff. You said such and such and such, and that means such and such. Like, how did you see that? You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so I ran to a friend of mine. Her name was Denise. Okay. I went to Howard with Denise. She graduated a year before I did. And then when I lived in New York when I was younger, she lived there. She went to the Fashion Institute of Technology. I think I talked about her a little bit, but not much. Denise's work, I mean, my gosh, she should have been a. Her work was so phenomenal, fashion designer. But that's a conversation for another day. So, but she's from Texas. She lives in Texas. She was trying to get me to move to Houston. I was like, I'm not coming down there. All that heat. I can't take all that heat. You know what I'm saying? Okay, but anyway, she was in a dream and she had dropped out of a doctoral program. And then I saw her sister, Denise's sister, and but she completed the doctoral program and her hair was curly. They had this, both of them had just beautiful, beautiful hair. Her hair was curly and it was like purple. For people who know who do dream infiltration, even though I got the comments closed, okay, y'all might pick up on some shit. Her hair was it was purple. And most of it was purple, but there were some parts of it that was kind of street, kind of fuchsia. Okay, but she completed hers. Okay, which would be based off of the people and the dreams. I'm like, that's about right. Her sister, her younger sister, this girl has traveled the earth. Okay, always, always, always traveling. And then there was a girl that I knew from graduate school. Okay, she was a pretty big girl. Okay, but she was so funny. Her and her friend, they were both from Memphis. Well, one of them was from Arkansas, but they were coming from Memphis because I think she lived in Memphis at the time when I met them in graduate school, and they were just very. I used to love hanging out with them my first year. They were very funny women. But anyway, had me cracking up. She was in a dream, and she dropped out of a doctoral program, which ain't like her. I'm like, that don't fit her. I looked at her like, you did too? You know what I'm saying? But there was a time when I would have had that dream, right? And I would have, you know how you be feeling the feelings for real when you're dreaming. I would have felt so bad that I dropped out, and I did just a little bit. But another part of me was like, no, it wasn't. I don't feel bad for dropping out that program. It wasn't right for me. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be in school. I want to do no doctor. And it's so funny that I'm thinking about this because my brother, he he's got his PhD. I used to be so proud of him. You know what I'm saying? I used to really look up to him, even though he was mean than a motherfucker. But anyway, he he graduated from his bachelor's, got his bachelor's, and went straight through. He didn't get a master's or anything. He just was in a doctoral program and got his PhD. I think in chemistry or something like that. Yeah, I thought it was pretty smart. You know, I don't know. I didn't know that you could do that. You know, but apparently you can, and he did. But he used to always tell me, "Don't do it, don't do it." It was like it's a waste of money, you know. What I'm saying it's a waste of money and time or whatever, you know. Now I look back on so much that these people told me, "Do this, don't do that." Do that was supposed to be life advice, and now I'm like, I don't know. Some of that shit might have been set up so that you would not see. This wasn't the idea that they just got out of the blue a few years back. Let's go and fuck Nikki's life up. You understand? Try to kill her, destroy her, make her homeless, and steal all her money. You understand what I'm saying? Don't tell her who her real family is. No, that wasn't new. This is like this was planned out eons ago. Okay, so now I look back like I remember I was talking to some lady, an older woman the other day, real solid, solid as a rock. And I was telling her something that the lady who raised me told me that I thought was good advice.